All right, for the final hurrah on this chapter, we can close this document, go back into our textbook files, and we're going to open both car and field. So shift click both of them to open them both. We've already done some masking in the past. We learned how to use masking to adjust part of an image. So if you think back to Dave and Callie, the guy on his bike and the dog, we did some masking because we applied some adjustment layers. We brightened up the highlights and shadows, and we didn't want it to affect the whole picture, so we masked out the adjustment layer where we didn't want it. So we can actually use masking for showing and hiding pixels within a composition. And this is really the best way to do this. It's better than what I taught you a while back in the Objects Galore exercise, where you had to use the different tools to outline and select the object and then bring it into your composition. That certainly works, but once you've done it and brought it in, if you realize, oh, I forgot the ear, I actually didn't have a selection tool around that bear's ear, it doesn't exist. You have nothing to go back to unless it was a smart object. So by masking, everything is always here. You're just hiding and showing different parts. So we are going to take the car image and we're going to drag and drop this on top of the field. And it's an easy way to do it. We could split our window into two panes and drag that way, but as long as the car is the active one and we're using our move tool, you click, hold down on your mouse, and start to drag this up. And nothing happens because it's a background layer. Yes, when you let go, it warns you. Convert it to a normal layer. Then we can actually move it. So now, with our move tool, we're going to click and drag. Don't let go of your mouse. We're going to activate the other tab. Do not let go of your mouse. We're going to bring it down, and if we drop it, it's just going to plop anywhere. I'm going to undo that. That's the process. But here's a trick. If you drag it up, don't let go of your mouse, activate the new layer, don't let go of your mouse. If you hold shift and then let go of your mouse, you dirty dog, it was supposed to perfectly center it. What is going on in this world? Holding shift should perfectly center it. I'm going to chalk this up to being 2020 and I'm not going to care. All right, now the fun part. If we want, we can go back to the car JPEG and close it. We are done using it. We now just have one file. We have a background layer and we have a layer 1, which is the car on top of it. We are going to select our car to make an actual mask. So with our selection tool and the quick selection tool, we could easily drive over this and make our quick selection, but Photoshop has gotten even better. And once we click one of our selection tools, we get some pretty cool options up here. Select subject. Let's try it. And I think we're going to be amazed because it's been crazy powerful. I'm seriously waiting for this result for the first time ever. Hey, not bad. So it did okay. It didn't get the luggage rack here, and it got a little bit too much of the shadow, and we don't need all of that necessarily. So we can probably improve the selection before we make the mask. So I'm just going to go to my quick selection tool. I'm going to make my cursor bigger so I can actually see it. And then if we hold down if we use it as is, it's going to add to the selection. I'm not even going to bother with the luggage rack. We'll get that later, but I want to take away from some of this. So I'm going to hold down Option, and I'm going to kind of push back a little. That was too far. I have to fix that. Push back a little here. Way too far. My goodness. All right, now I need to add the front end of this car, and I need to add this wheel best I can. All right, I give up. We'll add it that way. And I want to add this wheel the best I can. Also going to accept that. Once you have your selection, we're going to come over to our layers panel, and at the bottom we're going to click on the add a layer mask button. And that is automatically going to mask out everything but your selection. So fixing the mask, let's look at it. We can see where we definitely have some problems here, but we can also option click on the mask itself to see it live. So wherever there's black, the background is showing through. Wherever there's white, we actually see this layer or the car. So we can come into this, and I'm going to just zoom in a little bit here. And the first area that I see a problem is, I'm going to use the paintbrush. So grab the paintbrush. Where did you go? You're nested somewhere and we've lost you. Right here. And when you paint with white, it shows. When you paint with black, it hides. So I'm going to make my cursor fairly small. I'm going to switch these two color chips using the X the X key on the keyboard. Hitting X over and over toggles these two background and foreground colors. So when you want to paint with black, which is to hide, I'm going to paint inside here. And I must have a soft edge brush. I'm getting a little bit of feathering. I do. If I look up here, I have a soft edge brush. So 35 pixels is fine, but I need it to be a hard brush. So if I paint in here, I'm going to paint white. I'm going to paint black, which is going to let the background or the forest come through. So anywhere that my mask is not super good, I'm going to want to clean up here. I'm going to do this kind of quickly. If you were to go around this with the pen tool, you would get a great selection. I'm actually kind of disappointed in the selection that we got here because this has been so good in the past. Or it hasn't been out that long, but it's been really good. All right, I'm doing a pretty poor job here, but I'm going to show you something real quickly that's really going to be helpful. Again, I'm painting with black, which is masking out things. Pretty bad. Making my brush a little bit bigger, kind of hurrying through this. Something's not right here. I'm going to switch and see. Oh yeah, that's what's not right. Like something isn't right here at all. Wow. Keep painting until I find out what's going on here. Ah, there we go. Missing a whole bottom part of our car, for crying out loud. I'm beginning to think in this case the select and mask wasn't worth doing. We probably should have just used the selection tool. Trying to paint back in the tire a little bit. So up at the top here where we are missing the luggage rack, we can paint it back in, and then I need to use a lot smaller and switch my colors. Well, come on, toolbar. Where'd you all go? Window. Tools, please come back. Thank you. Something about this is very strange. The letter F on your keyboard, there we go, rotates you through different views. So this was what I expected to see. And if it ever gets weird, letter F, this is the next view, and letter F again is like a full screen. So if you find your view has changed, try that. Okay, I need to paint. Where'd my layers panel go? For crying out loud. You guys just get the best demos. All right, here we go. What is black is covered up in this original image of the school, and it allows the grass to show through. So if I'm painting with black, I can fix this so that our luggage rack looks a little bit better, looks a little bit more natural. So let's assume that we got this perfectly composited and it is now sitting out in a field and we're happy with how it looks. Zoom out. The thing is, we are not happy with it because it's too stark. So we need to paint with some grays for a more transparent look. We kind of need to see a blend between the two. So The fact that we can see the bricks behind here makes it look fake. The fact that there's no shadow and my tires are wonky certainly looks stupid too. So if we take our paintbrush and we, instead of selecting black or white, we pick some sort of a gray hue in between. I'm going to make my cursor quite big, and I'm just going to paint under here to give it a bit more of a shadow. What is going on? Gotta have a much better brush here, not this big fat one that I have going on. And I've obviously done some danger here. I need to bring back the car and the tires where I don't have them. And we need to paint in this smaller inside, it's too fast, where we can see the bricks. We don't want to see bricks, we want to see the background of the trees, but we want it kind of dimmed out. That's why we're painting with a gray instead of a hard black or a white. So it looks like we're seeing the trees outside there. I'm giving you the down and dirty, super fast, super bad, I must say. Super bad version. All right, now we look at our mask. Option click. These parts are transparent, so I can do a little bit better job in here. If I want to paint with white, I shouldn't be able to see through any parts of the car. This is not a good selection. I think using that using that select object really was not good this time. We could clean this up. We could use the lasso, the magnetic lassos. We could use the pen tool. We could use a lot of different things to clean up this mask. Again, I don't know where this tire is because I'm in a bad view, but I'm trying to make it just a smidge better than it is. And let's go back to our regular view. Wow, this might be the all-time worst I've ever done. I think the shadow looks really corny, which makes me believe that this color is not dark enough. So I would maybe work with a darker gray and see if I can do some masking with a darker gray to get a better shadow. If you look in your textbook, you'll see, whoa! You'll see examples of this. Okay, lighter gray, Brenda. Oh, you know, it's Sunday night, I'm so tired, and I'm just showing you how to not do things right now. I'm gonna stop. The good thing is you guys understand the point of this, of masking based on what we've done earlier. When you start bringing things in, so your big project coming up is going to be a magazine cover. So if you go out and get a picture of Brad Pitt and you want to put him somewhere on your magazine cover, think of like a People magazine or In Touch or something like that. Instead of cutting him out like we did with Objects Galore, you're better off to bring in the whole picture of him and then select him using those same skills from Objects Galore as far as using the quick selection tool or using the polygonal lasso or using the pen tool, whatever. Select him, but then mask out the parts that you don't want to see in that image. That way it's completely non-destructive when you build this composite image of your magazine cover. One last thing, clipping masks, super fun, so let's just keep going with it. I'm going to close this horrible field that I did, and we are going to open a new document, or create a new document. So create new, doesn't matter what size it is, I'm just going to go with whatever comes up. And we are going to take our type tool and we're going to use, I think I need, there we go, I was going to say I need to reset because I'm not getting good things. We want to pick a thick, blocky type for this example. So sans serif, things that does not have the little feet on it. So here's an example, Azo Sands, and I'm going to type the word trees all in caps, and it doesn't have to be black, but to make it better to see here, I'm going to just make it black. Again, very large, very thick font for this demonstration. So we now have a layer panel that has a background and it has a text layer of trees. I'm going to open, File, Open, the image that we were working with earlier called Field. And once it is open, I'm going to use my Move tool and I'm going to drag and drop it into that new document. So again, hold down your mouse key, drag up to the tab. That's going to light up to be active, drag down into it and let go. That's going to drop it into this image. All right, the magic here comes with clipping this to the text layer below it. So if you hover between layer 1 and trees and hold down the Option key, when you're right at that middle point, you're going to see a down arrow and a box. And if you click on that, it's going to make a clipping mask, and your image is only going to be visible through, if you consider the word trees to be windows, it's only going to be visible through the window panes. The cool thing is that you can take this layer and with your Move tool, you can move it around. You know, there's a lot going on in that image. Maybe there's some darker parts. Maybe you prefer the lighter blue. That's really hard to read. So I'm just kind of moving this around so that a certain part of my photo shows through the windows of these letter forms, for example. So clipping it, the image goes on top, the shape or the text is below, and you Option click in between the two. If you do it again, you take it off. So if I did it now, I took off the clipping mask. That's not happening anymore. Option click right between those two lines, and they're clipped together. All right, that's it for the chapter. I'll talk about homework next.